Phillips with Now Marketing Group and Relationship Marketing System, and this is
Ross Bishoff with Now Marketing Group.
We're just talking here about some marketing trends, what things happened in 2014, but more importantly, what things you should continue doing in 2015 if you want to up your game.
So the key thing we were talking about before we came on here was obviously how, there's so much out there and how important it's going to be in the future to have great content. Just kind of talk about that a little bit and rising above the noise.
So yeah, I think we've all just now become so comfortable with going to social media to find answers and to connect with people. I've built so many friendships just from meeting people online and then now, meeting them in real life, whether at conferences or whatever, and finding just businesses that I want to do business with via social media. But now everybody's on the same train. We all get it now. Everybody's caught up that you have to be online. You just have to with social media. So now it's like, now you have to be online, but you have to be good at what you're doing online in order to get noticed and stand out from the other guy that's now there. So the biggest thing is upping your game with content and being good at what you're putting out, making it quality. You can't just write a blog and say, I've written a blog. But it has to be a good blog and that the person that has read it has felt like that was a good 3 minutes of my time well spent of valuable content that I'll now pass on. And then they'll continue going back. But if not, you just get kind of the fluff to say that you wrote 500, 600 words for your blog and it was of no value. You kind of forget about them and don't really go back.
I think the quality is the number one thing, and if you're just throwing quantity out there, it's not going to stick. And so I think when it comes to the whole relationship marketing and sort of being a magnet for people, the key thing is that people sort of see you as an informational source that they can trust, that they're going to continue to come back through. Are there some specific tools or anything that you could point to that people could jump on right now?
Yeah, I would say with continuing with content, one, and that quality content, and you mentioned it, quality over quantity, but definitely finding out who your audience is. We've talked about this in previous videos called buyer personas, really finding out who they are so you make the most out of what you're writing about specific to that person. And then the tools and method of delivery that you're really doing a systematic way of where you're delivering your messages. I think now we've talked about social media being everyone's there and doing it, but now we're really focusing on quality over quantity. And that means even like the social platforms. If you realized, hey, I set up in 2013, 2014, like every social media site that was out there and coming out and new and exciting, but we really haven't touched it since then just cut it off or invest your time in it. And really focus spending your time where you can be active listeners as well as engagers. So you have to really invest in a tool to be able to help you along that battle because you can't just be everywhere all the time. Mm-hmm. So I would say some of our favorites, of course, we love HubSpot. And that has been a kind of an all-inclusive, really helping us with our marketing automation and with our management of social media platforms. But there's some others out there that we really love and appreciate. I know, Hootsuite and Sprout Social, Tabsite, a lot of those tools to help you amp up your social game. And we actually wrote an article about 60 of our favorite social apps to start using in 2015 that you'll have to check out. And it kind of breaks it down to what to use for Facebook and Twitter and some of the tools that we've used even in-house to help us make our content stand out a little bit, know what to write and how to use it in visual content as well, because that's another piece of content that's going to be huge in 2015 and continue in its upward trend is visual content. Creating those pieces of value-added articles that people can read really quickly because it's visual, and then you can share it kind of cross-platform, and it's really helpful. Right. So I definitely would say that. Canva has been my new favorite for 2014 and definitely continuing in 2015. Yeah. Canva.com. If you have not checked it out, please do. You will love it for creating visual content and just amping up just your social pages as well. They have a lot of templates there, and most of the stuff's free, so it's pretty awesome. What's your favorite tool?
It depends on which platform you're on, but for Instagram, which is something that a lot of people are using, there's a lot of stuff. I love Repost, which I know you use that. I mean, especially when you can't find something, or you don't have something, but you see all these great things other people are posting. It's just like retweeting something. For LinkedIn, I mean, Pulse is fantastic. I love Pulse. You get so many good articles and blogs that are going to help you with your specific industry. Scoop It's another one. I remember my first day you showed me Scoop It. So that's a really good one for everything, because you can tweet, Facebook post, LinkedIn, I believe, and I think you can. There's some other platforms that they've just now hooked up to. So I'm a big Scoop It fan, and I mean, you can get all kinds of really good information, good blogs, industry specific.
Yeah, you're right. With like Scoop It and Pulse, two of those apps that are really about helping you to find your niche. Because one thing that we haven't mentioned yet with creating that quality content is really niching it down. Don't try to be like everything to everyone. We've really found the people that have started doing it successfully and trying to get the biggest like bang out of what they're doing is they've found their personas, one, so they know who they're talking to, but they've also found their niche and like what they're really good at and just focused on delivering that quality content right around that topic and that subject. So things like Pulse and Scoop It allows them to find other people that are really experts in that niche and curate that content, because you can never write enough content, and that's all you would be doing. And if you could really create your own quality content, but then find other people that are doing it really well and use it on your social platforms and on your social pages, and you be the source for that quality information. Yeah. But then, Yeah,
and another thing that, I mean, you've talked a lot about and with the Trello boards and stuff is just planning. A lot of times it just kind of, you get into a sort of thing, I got to have something today, and you haven't planned things out. So talk about how important it is to plan out not only your goals and sort of your vision, but it just helps so much with the coming up with different ideas and sort of planning, mapping things out as far as strategies and everything else.
Yeah, so planning it out well in advance for your year. You're like, this is what our goals are for the year. SMART goals, like really writing it out and just reviewing your goals every day, really. But letting everybody else on your team know what your goals are and getting them all on board. So we've started using, for our blogs, Trello boards, where Trello.com, Trello boards to map out what kind of content we're going to be putting out and who's responsible. Because if it's just one person at the company that's responsible for putting out content, or if you're working with, a marketing agency or whatever, that's good to have one person as like the main,
Point person,
yeah. But you really need to have that brand advocacy, because with brand advocacy, it allows everyone to know the mission and get involved and just a louder voice, with people sharing it. So at Now Marketing Group, we've kind of taken our blog strategy, planned it out, and we also did this with our clients, but then also said, who else is really got a voice for this topic that we're writing on, and really spread it out to have everybody have a voice, and make it all about the team and creating that brand identity as a whole instead of just one person pushing out that content. And that's really worked successfully, because some people may respond closer to your writing style or mine, and we all have our own our voice online, and that's worked really good. Brand advocacy has also helped on social, because people connect with people, and they connect with brands and love the brands, but they tend to still follow like what the team members at the company are saying, and they care about the CEOs at the company now. Before, you didn't really know all the Fortune 500 CEOs names, and now like social media has made it more visible and who they are, and it says a lot about the company that they're working with, and now you can connect even closer with them because you know the people that work there, and you get really close with them. I know IBM's doing this really well. I've met so many people from IBM that are just like, they work for IBM, but they're like, now they're calling themselves IBMers, and they are really rocking it with social and creating that identity online and creating their own podcast and have their own followers for the team members. And I think they've just turned some heads doing that. And I think there's a lot of companies that are doing that well. That's just one that's really stood out to me over the past year.
Nike, in the sports world, Nike, you think of like Oregon, their football uniforms, and you think of a lot of sports, and those brands come into such a big play, especially like, just seeing what they produce is such a benefit.
Right.
And then that you don't think, oh, Nike, you think of what they've done for these people, and that alone is huge for them as a company.
Yeah, and even like not just the big businesses, but like
Right.
universities and stuff are doing it. Like we work with Bluffton here in Ohio, and they have their students getting involved and becoming advocates for the school and blogging and talking about what a day in the life of a student looks like and getting the professors involved. And it's been huge for just people really responding to that and getting an inside view of what it's like at the school. So I definitely say content, brand advocacy, visual content is definitely things to continue. We mentioned podcasting too. That's grown huge. And we've talked about it even 2013, again, saying, hey, it's growing in 2014. 2015, I mean, you can do like podcasts with SoundCloud or, just doing a regular straight podcast or like this, a video podcast. And it's just more engaging, talking things out and giving a conversational tone. And it's another way of delivering content on a subject. And that's definitely growing. But I would also say that some of the free ride stuff's kind of over. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, and I think you hit it right on the head with, it's not good enough just to throw stuff out there anymore. You need a plan. It needs to be a quality information you're putting out there. And then using the tools which you mentioned to put that information out there is really the key. So all the just kind of throwing it out there and it'll stick doesn't work anymore. You need to have all your nuts and bolts tightened, basically.
Yeah. I want the free lunch comment. It's like you said, like putting it out there, making it quality. But if you want to grow it fast, you have to be really, really creative at what you do and using your brains over budget. But if you want to grow it fast, you also need to potentially be willing to put a budget to it. Everybody thinks social media, it's free and great and we can grow, which you can. But now if you want to even grow it faster and more aggressively, you have to be willing to put some kind of ad dollar into your marketing with Facebook. Like, the sponsored posts, they work. The sponsored events, they work. You don't have to have a huge budget though. Like we've done campaigns $1 a day and it's grown aggressively. And we've used, LinkedIn ads and Twitter and Facebook. I'm really a huge fan of mixing your Facebook budget. I think I've had probably the most success with that because it's so targeted. Like with Facebook, you can get really down to interests. So yeah, like if you're willing to do Facebook and you understand how to use Facebook tools, you can use Power Editor. I mean, there's somebody that's killing it. John Loomer, like he does some Power Editor trainings and he is killing it. And he's really figured out how to maximize your budget with Facebook ads. So I definitely recommend checking him out in 2015 if you haven't already. But I don't know, what would you say is your top 3 either people to learn from in 2015 or tips for 2015 to sum it up?
Well, I think definitely come up with a plan, come up with a strategy for how you're going to attack your goals, and then find the platforms that are going to work best for you and make sure that the quality you put out there or the content you put out there is quality, and that is what's going to help everyone rise above everything that's out there.
I would say you must know your persona. So your personas, and we have, like I said, a video on that, and I'll link to it in the notes, but must know your personas. That'll help you get your brand advocates. So the people that are willing to support your brand and just be that extra voice to make the brand louder. And then I would also say creating the system. So what you want to happen from X, Y to Z. So that comes from your goals, but also knowing what do you want to happen after they're engaging with you online. So what is that ultimate measure of success? And how are they going to get there, from start to finish? But I would say that's my 3.
Sounds good. I think that's all for the day.
Yeah, make sure to check out the apps that we mentioned and our blog. We'll put it in the notes below. And I look forward to connecting with you guys in our next video. Thanks.